Welcome back to the 127 Fit podcast. Today's guest is a business coach and entrepreneur. Today's guest is Lauren Kelly. Lauren, I want to welcome you to the 127 Fit podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to just get to know all of you and allow you guys to get to know me better.
For sure. So, Lauren, we're just going to dive right into what I like to call the conversational warm-up. I've got 4 questions that I like to ask all of my guests just to, again, kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak. The first question that I have for you is, how do you start your day? Do you have a specific morning routine or morning ritual that you like to stick to on most mornings?
Oh, yes. I love this question because it's like you have to have these like foundational rituals in place. For me, I wake up, I meditate, but I can't calm my mind. So to me, it's more of like this guided visualization of like, where am I going? What's the energy that I want to portray? I ask myself every morning, like, who can I be an earth angel in their life today? Who can I impact today? And I say prayers of like, God, put those people into my life. My favorite visualization, you guys have to try it, is Google on YouTube Aaron Daughtry. He has a 21-day subliminal guided meditation that like will change you, and it's all about releasing old stories.
Okay, cool. Now, after you get done with like the guided meditation, the visualization, kind of asking some questions and just thinking about the energy you want to bring to the world, is there any type of movement? What do you kind of have for breakfast? What does that kind of look like?
To me, I love my coffee, so I'm trying to get off coffee and switch to like our adaptogens to like balance stress. I push my workouts to the middle of the day.
Okay.
So instead of the mornings, I like use it as my break. So
okay,
I work
perfect.
I work from home, so I just like to break it up with the workout.
Okay, perfect. Now, this visualization, when did this kind of like become a part of your morning routine, and why is it so important, Lauren, to you specifically?
I think for a while I would always just get up, I'd write in a gratitude journal, I would listen to podcasts in the morning and just kind of, start the day that way. This past year, the last couple years, I'm just diving more into entrepreneurship. You'll hear more about this, but I had to like strip a lot of identity, like shed a lot of layers. Well, when that comes, you have to like put good energy back in. So to me, I've just been doing a ton of energy work on like, who is it that I want to be and how do I want to show up in this world every single day and impact people.
Okay, cool. All right, so the next question, if there's more than one, please feel free to share, but do you have a favorite book or book that you like to gift often?
Yes. And you actually, right before we started the podcast, mentioned him. Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average, is hands down one of my favorite books.
Cool.
Love it.
Now, that's funny that you say that, because I literally just finished reading that book, I think it was last week, and I did an Instagram post on, like, you need to check this book out, because we all hear, most people associate Grant Cardone with, 10X, right? And I started listening to that, the audio version, and I didn't get very far, but I just finished, like I said, Be Obsessed or Be Average, and literally, like, that book is very, very powerful. So I want you just to maybe share, and this can be hard. This might be hard to share one, if maybe there's a couple. But what's 1 or 2 takeaways for you specifically from that book that you can remember?
I think the word obsessive or obsessed is almost misconstrued. If you love something and you're truly passionate about it, the only way to be like successful and be at the highest level is to get a little bit obsessive.
Absolutely.
And I think he puts it in such a good way. Is like you can live your whole life and do like the mediocre, like bare minimum of everything, or you can get obsessed and actually achieve results bigger than anybody else. And it just creates this like empowerment and motivation in you to be like, I can work harder, I can get up earlier, I can do more in my day. Like you can strive for more. Basically.
Absolutely. And Lauren, one thing that I really appreciate about that book, and one thing I really appreciate about Grant Cardone, because he's a very polarizing figure, but I really appreciate from that book, he gives us human beings the permission, or he talks about just kind of like, it's okay to be obsessed. Like he gives the reader, he gives us people that are striving for greatness, that are striving to be the best versions of ourselves. He just says, like, if you're obsessed, that's great.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like you don't have to be on medication because you got ADD. You don't need this or that. It's like, people are gonna say, oh, you need to have balance in your life. You need to meditate. You need to do yoga. It's like, Like, no, like, if you're obsessed, that it's a good thing.
Yes.
And like, that was the, I mean, because I've listened to a lot of Grant Cardone, but just reading that book, it was just a powerful emphasis of like, being obsessed is not a problem. It's not an issue. It's okay. And whatever is setting your soul on fire, whatever you're passionate about, be obsessed. Just go after it, and it's good.
Yeah.
And I really just held on to that.
Like top leaders embody that.
Absolutely, and that's the whole thing, and maybe we'll touch on it a little bit. I don't really want to get into it right now, but that whole word balance, everybody's like, oh, you've got to have balance, but it's like, Grant Cardone's like, balance, like, no, like, if you want to be the best, if you want to, set your family up for financial security for generations, like, you've got to be all in.
Yeah.
It's all in or it's all nothing, right? So, it's cool. We could probably talk about Grant Cardone for an hour, because he's a wild man, but man, I have a lot of respect for him, because he's just doing his thing. He's just doing his thing. He
rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but like if you lean into what he's saying, he will light the fire under your ass.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. All right. GC, Uncle G. All right. So the next question, and I kind of like to preface this question, Laren, with we all go through different seasons in life. So you can take this. The question is favorite quote, mantra, or word. It could be maybe something, for this new year during this season of life for you, or it could be a favorite quote, mantra, word from a previous season of life. However you want to take that, favorite quote, mantra, or word.
My mantra literally is God's got you. Every day if I'm going through something, I'm like, God's got you. Mm-hmm. Like, it's something that I'm like, just know, like, you're right where you're meant to be.
Cool.
One quote that I just heard that I love is, instead of waking up every day and saying, okay, what do I need to get done today? Say, what can I do today that's going to give me more time tomorrow?
Okay,
so
cool.
it, like, helps shift your perspective for, like, what you're actually working on to create more freedom in your life.
Beautiful. All right, now I wanna before I ask you the last question in regards to the warm up. You've mentioned God a couple times, and the 127 and 127 Fit podcast stands for James 127, and like my faith personally is very important to me.
I love that.
As I was just checking things out on your Instagram and trying to learn more about you through social media, I see that you're not afraid to talk about God, and God and faith seems to be a very important, impactful part of your life. So would you just touch on kind of like your faith and like the importance of God in your personal life and your day-to-day?
Oh, it's everything. I literally just did a video on this. Faith is the foundation to who I am and to my business. I think it's truly the core purpose of like our calling. It's what makes us who we are. It's like when you're having a hard time in your business or life, it's like what you lean into. I always say God's my best friend. Like I literally couldn't like go through my day without that relationship.
Right.
Even like, going back to even like the daily habits, like I write in a journal, but I'm writing to God. Like it's conversations with God.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of everything to me.
So where did this faith come from? Is it something that you grew up with? Is it something that did God kind of like really pursue you when you were going through some difficult times and you kind of turned your life over to Him? Where did God kind of come into the picture for you personally in your life?
I grew up going to church every Sunday, and it did not resonate with me. It didn't speak to me. I was just sitting in a room with everybody listening to the Bible.
Right.
And it was in high school. I went on a mission trip, and there was a song that came on that was all about surrender. And it was literally like everything inside of me. I could feel God's presence, and it just completely changed me forever. And ever since then, every time I find churches, like they're non-denominational churches that I go to Red Rocks Church for all of you if you're in Denver.
So do I.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's amazing. But it's like personal development and it's like therapy every week.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a powerful song that's all about surrender that's played a significant role in my life that is like all the massive turning points where I've made huge, bold decisions that I'm like, I know I can do this because God's got me. And I have like insane risk and that most people wouldn't have because I just trust that I'm exactly on the path that I'm meant to be and God's guiding me where I need to go.
Cool. That's beautiful, and I appreciate you touching on that.
Your faith is strong too.
Yeah, I have a very similar story in the sense of like my dad was he's a PK. His dad was a pastor, right? In a very strict sect of Christianity, and then like he has, he didn't take myself and my younger brother to church growing up. He doesn't want anything to do with any of that anymore. That's his own stuff. But my mom was very faithful in taking, not forcing, but just offering to take my younger brother Brett and I to church. We spent a lot of time going to church, plugged in the youth group. I didn't really have any discipleship growing up. I was just having a relationship with God the best I could as a kid. But towards the end of high school, I kind of just walked away from God. The church experience, the Christian experience that I grew up in was, there's just a lot of, I'll just call it like stuffiness. It's pretty boring, especially for a kid, right? And it's just like, wow, I don't know. This is not what I want. But anyways, partying and all that. But the thing is that, the Bible says that God is faithful even when we're faithless, right? And so, like, I tell people, like, they ask me, like, oh, are you spiritual? Or, like, you believe in God? I'm like, here's the bottom line. Like, I cannot deny God's presence in my life. Exactly. If I personally, Quentin Vars, if I was personally to deny the presence of God and what He's done in my life, like I would be the biggest liar, the biggest hypocrite. I would just be I'd be fake, because like God has just He just so draws present. Me, and He draws me. Like, I can't deny it. So, like I grew up going to church, fell away, but then again, like in my 20s, spent a lot of time in ministry. But it's like all I know is that God is faithful, and He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And
it's like the whole
it's a wrap.
Prodigy son story.
So
like,
of course, yeah,
when you're ready to come back.
Yep.
He's right there.
He's his arms are wide open. So very cool. All right, so let's transition it into just this last question. So the last question, as a part of the warm up, Laren, is favorite or most listened to podcast. So first of all, I want you just give us maybe one or two podcasts that you really appreciate, you really like listening to. And then I know in our conversation before we turned on the mic, we discussed a little bit about the podcast that you're going to be launching in the near future called Business for Breakfast. So I want you to go ahead after you share your favorite one or two podcasts. I want you to talk about your podcast and kind of what all that is about, that's going to be launching here soon.
Yeah, I think if you haven't figured it out already, I'm like either all faith or all business. And those are my two go-to podcasts too. Transformation Church, you guys, if you have not listened to it, is a game changer. Mike Todd is like unreal, the level of faith he has and how powerful he is. They're based out of Oklahoma. It is my favorite. It's changed my life in so many ways. And then Chris Harder's For the Love of Money. It's all about like when good people make good money, they do great things. Generosity, money mindset, business, entrepreneurship, everything. He's been a massive mentor in my life and my business for the past few years. Cool.
All right, so I want you to talk about Business for Breakfast, your podcast that's up and coming.
I'm so excited. So people have always joked I wake up and eat business for breakfast. So I was like, this seems appropriate. I wanted to launch this for 4 years, and I'm like, I don't know what the resistance has been, but I'm like, I know the timing is right 100% now. And to me, it's not business that's you wake up and eat for breakfast. It's your purpose. It's your calling that God's put on your heart. I think the most powerful entrepreneurs, the most successful people in this world wake up and eat business for breakfast. The second they wake up, they're so focused on what is the impact that they're ready to make. What is the purpose that they have put on their heart, that like deep, insane calling, like put on your soul that you're meant to go after and pursue. And that's different for everybody. So I just want to feature those top stories, those top entrepreneurs that have that, but also like the grit, the grind, and like what's really happening behind the scenes that makes it come to life.
Awesome.
So the goal is to launch it March 21st because that's my 3-year anniversary of becoming an entrepreneur.
Cool. Yeah. March 21st. All right. Now, what we were talking again before the mic, kind of just like you were asking me, like, how did I get into podcasting? So, like, just maybe quickly touch on just like why is podcasting so important to you? I mean, I'm sure a lot of my listeners have heard me talk about like how literally like podcasting has changed my life, but why do you find so much value? Why is it so important? Why is it such a big part of your life from the day to day, Laren? Why is podcasting not necessarily like you launching your own podcast, but why do you consume podcasts so much? Like what value have you found in them?
I mean, it's insane. It's 2020. You have no excuse not to be successful.
Amen.
Like, everything is just handed to you.
Right.
Podcasters literally give you every single thing and tip that they know. You don't even have to go to school anymore. You can get everything from masterminds and podcasts and YouTube. Like, it's crazy. So if you are at a place where you're ready to either start your own company, master some skill, master your niche, like, podcast is 100% is going to give you everything you need to know.
Cool. And that's something too, just to tack on what you just said, is like, whatever niche, whatever you're interested in, there's podcasts for that. So it's like, for me, like I'm in.
What's your favorite podcast?
My
Besides
favorite.
your own.
No. I don't even really listen to mine a whole lot, but my favorite podcast, I would say there's one right now. It's called All the Smoke, and it's 2 former NBA players, and they, they do a great job, because obviously they're bringing on like all these current and former NBA players, and it's just really mellow and chill. I really enjoy that one. Anything Grant Cardone, like I'll listen to his content on podcasts on YouTube. But what I really love, I'll just type in my favorite podcast platform, like app, is called Castbox, and I like that because you can type in somebody's name. Or you can type in a subject, and it'll bring up like all the podcasts, that specific name has been on. But then you can like go into another section. It's like, so all the podcasts that, let's say, Grant Cardone has been on, like it'll give you a list. And what I really like to do is like I'll type in Grant Cardone, and then I just eat up all of the podcasts that Grant Cardone has been on. So what I like to do is like I like to find individuals that are really speaking to me, and then I'll just type in their name into Castbox, and then I'll just go through a bunch of podcasts that they've been on, just listening to them share.
Find new podcasts too.
Absolutely, it absolutely is. So All the Smoke is a great one. Like Ed Milet is another one. That's a powerful positive podcast. So right off the top of my head, those are 2. But I am like such a podcast junkie. Like I'm all over the place. Like it's hard for me to narrow it down to one. If somebody asks me like, "What's your favorite most listened to podcast?" I'm like, let me grab my phone. Let me tell you the ones I'm subscribed to. But then for me, it's just kind of finding a specific individual. Like right now, like I've been listening to some pastors and things like that as well through podcasts and YouTube. So, all right. So, Laren, I kind of want to take a dive now just into your backstory. So if you don't mind sharing with myself and the 127 Fit podcast listeners, where did you grow up? Kind of what did those younger years look like? What did the childhood look like? Were you involved in sports, extracurricular activities? Do you have siblings? What were some of the family dynamics like? I know you'd already mentioned growing up, going to church and things like that. So just talk a little bit about those younger years, if you don't mind.
I am a native of Colorado and proud of it. I grew up in Evergreen. I am literally the typical family of 4.
Okay.
My parents are still married after, I think it's 35 years now.
Cool.
And my mom was a teacher, and my dad was an entrepreneur who's owned his own graphic design company for like 30 plus years. So I'm kind of the mix of the two of like, I love the teaching side and education, but I'm like the creative entrepreneur. I loved my childhood. I loved growing up there. And what was any siblings? I have an older sister. She's 3 years older, and she lives here too in Arvada.
Okay. Now you said 4. So is it just you and your sister, and then your mom and dad? Okay. Typical 4. Okay, cool. So growing up in Evergreen, did you play sports? What did the school activities look like?
I did. I played soccer when I was younger, and then I played softball all through high school. And then I played flag football, like powder puff football in college. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet. So is there anything from your childhood or maybe like middle school, high school years, was there anything that kind of sticks out in your mind in the sense of maybe like a struggle or something that was like an incident that was just like maybe like really impactful?
Yeah, to be honest, I was so average at playing sports, and I was average in school, and I hated it. And I remember my mom, there was a time when she was like grading one of my papers, not grading, but like editing. Yeah. And she said to me, she was like, "You just do the bare minimum." And it like resonated with me so deeply because it was like, this is not who I am. Like I give 100% in so many things. But what I realized was, all I wanted to do was start working, like build my own little empire. And that's where I was passionate about. So now if you look at me, I like go above and beyond with everything I do and give it 100%. And I really think that it's because in a way it's like I was just kind of average in high school. Like I didn't care as much, and now I'm like so passionate, but I think that's what really shaped me into who I am today.
Now, what's something, that's a very unique dynamic that you grew up with, your parents being a teacher and an entrepreneur. What is what's something, and I'm sure probably it was just them modeling, being those examples that was very powerful and impactful for you, but outside of kind of like what your mom said, in regards to looking over one of those papers, just saying like you just do the bare minimum in school, what was kind of like the impact that your parents had on you as you were growing up? Is there something where it's just like, man, like, was it just their example? Was it maybe, a saying or something that they always, told you and your sister? What do you kind of take away from the value that your parents really provided for you as a young girl?
For my dad, it was definitely just seeing him work so hard and like build his dreams and like create his own business and be an entrepreneur that's been around for so long.
Yeah.
I tell him this all the time now. I'm like, now that I am one, I admire you so much for how hard you worked. But what I took from it is success means a lot of hours and a lot of hard work.
Absolutely.
And so, which I'm trying to almost break that habit of realizing like you can work hard and be successful without like putting in that much time. So there was good like pros and cons to that. But he like really taught me the value of hard work. My mom always said, get in the vicinity of what you want. And I quote that a lot she's like, if you want to be successful in a certain area, you just have to get in the vicinity. And so for me at the time, it was the beauty industry. So it's like, okay, if I want to like dominate the beauty industry, I just need to get in the vicinity. What's the one place that I could start my like work, like career at that I could grow with? And it's like stuck with me my whole life.
Right. That's a good quote. I'm gonna be reposting that on Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on from the kind of those younger years, was there any struggles for you? Like what was the struggle? Obviously, middle school, high school, sometimes there's some different things, but looking back on your childhood, was there a struggle? Was there something that sticks out in your mind in regards to just kind of something hard, like a difficult time or hard time that you kind of had to break through?
I think like where my limiting beliefs come from now, even that I notice are those stories we tell ourselves still go back to like middle school and high school, where I just had mean friends, and it always really stuck with me that I felt left out in a way. So it's actually my biggest blessing as I got older, I feel like, because it made me very independent. It made me like completely solid, like I can do things on my own. That I think if people are like, how are you so strong and so empowered, it's 100% because I had to be. Like, I'm like, who's the only person I can trust? And that's myself. And to really trust that, for sure.
How was your relationship with your sister when you were growing up?
We were close, very close. Cool. Yeah, we're very different, but because we have the same values and the same family structure, we're very close. Cool,
that's beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about post high school. What did you do immediately after high school, and what did those first several years look like?
So I started working when I was 14. Like I had this massive vision to like build my own empire in the beauty industry. I knew I didn't want to be a stylist because I just didn't see myself behind the chair all the time. But I loved the industry, but I thought like a business person. I'm very analytical. And so I started working at one of the top spas when I was like 14 years old and just really invested a lot of time during high school into that. So I knew I wanted to go to business school. So I went to the Montfort College of Business, graduated with a business management degree, and immediately went to work right after that in the beauty industry. Okay. So what attracted you at such a young age to the beauty industry? I mean, obviously, probably, being a girl, being a female, there's probably some sort of appeal with that. But, not everybody goes into the beauty industry as a girl or as a female, right? So what was kind of really that strong force pulling you into the beauty industry, so much so that you pursued it as a career? Well, when I started working at the spa, like I really looked up to the owner and our Aveda rep. I remember Aveda is like a huge brand in the beauty industry, and there was something just about that I was like, God, she's just such a badass. She has this huge multi-million-dollar spa. I just like craved that success, and I started reading business books. I started diving into personal development. Like it was something about owning my own business that really spoke to me. That I was
Right.
like, I just want to be this like boss babe. The beauty industry to me was comfort. It was like I loved the fashion side. I loved the feminine side of it. It was something that I feel like I could do really well at. But again, like I was like, I don't see myself being a stylist, but I like leading people.
Yeah.
So it was more like the brands like Aveda and Kerastase and L'Oreal that really spoke to me. I remember in college I applied like 30 times for a position with L'Oreal and never got it. But it ended up working out later on in my career where I got to like actually sit on an owner's panel with L'Oreal.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So what specifically, because this is something I want to take a deep dive into with you is how do you build a brand and things like that. So those those beauty brands that you just mentioned, they kind of like they appealed to you. What specifically about those brands appealed to you? Like what pulled you in or grabbed your attention?
I think I've always been like, okay, if I'm going to do something, I want the best of it. Like if I'm going to work for a brand, it's got to be the best brand. If I'm going to build a brand, it's got to be the best brand. For me, that was Kerastase and L'Oreal. They're just known for being like the top luxury brands in the industry on multiple levels. They're all about quality. They're all about like just that effect. It's how it makes somebody feel, the luxury environment of it, basically. So when I came out of college, I was like, I want to work for Kerastase, and so I actually got recruited to work for them when I was like 22 years old. Okay. And when you go into the industry as like an education rep at 22, trying to educate people who've been in the industry longer than you, it makes you grow up really fast. So I had to do a lot of work on myself. I had to like dive headfirst into like that branding and like learning all about it and what makes, what's going to make me like stand apart against everybody else. And that was really powerful because then it just kind of played out into all the other things that it just kept going.
Okay. So in regards to like let's say when you're coaching somebody, they come to you and say, "Hey, Laren, like I want to build a brand, I want to build a tribe," like they kind of lay everything out. This is for the listeners, like what's maybe what's one or two maybe tips or tools that you would give somebody in terms of building a brand or building a tribe? Like what do you kind of suggest for people?
So I think even to go back a little bit, like what I'm really known for is building one of the top salon brands here in Denver. I helped grow it from like a $400,000 company to a $6 million company within 6 years. And everybody says like, how did you guys do that so fast? And that was the answer. It's like, well, we built a brand. We took a salon and we turned it into a brand. And that was like taking each individual stylist. Let's just use the stylist, for example, whatever you guys do at home. It could be personal training, gym, anything. And we're like, how do you build a brand within a brand? Each person is like their own identity. So it's like, what makes you your core values that really resonate? Like what makes you who you are? And then how do you show up in this world? What's your uniqueness? What's your gift? What is it that you're selling, or what service are you providing? Well, why should someone choose you over anybody else? Why should they choose you? And so what I'm so passionate about is like really working with, at the time it was stylists in the salon. Now it's like within the network marketing industry. I love working with leaders or businesses and being like, truly what makes you different, and like diving deep into like brand identity and what's their brand story, what's their macro stories, what's their micro stories, what is it that's going to resonate with their ideal audience, and how are they showing up every day to attract that audience and add value.
Cool. So let's talk about, I want to talk about sales. Okay. Go back to Grant Cardone on that one, right? So I'm going to let you kind of take it however you want to take it, right? So sales, there's a lot of things that fall underneath that word, but let's just say somebody has they have a product, right? That could be a personal trainer selling personal training. That could be somebody in the beauty industry trying to sell makeup. Let's just say they have a product and they're trying to sell it. They're trying to make the most money possible. Like, what are some what are some ways? Maybe some I don't want to say tricks, but again, maybe some tips that you would give people in regards to sales. Like, what have you found that works best for you, Laren?
Well, I think for starters, it's like you don't have a solution for someone until you've identified the problem. And I think where people go wrong is they just try to sell someone right away up front. And it's like you don't even know what they're struggling with. So for starters, take a step back, build relationships. So for all of you listening, like now I'm in network marketing, and we can even dive deeper into like how I got.
Yeah, we're going to. We are. Yep.
Like, you know, we're in the world of social selling. It used to be like the industry era. Now it's like the social era. It's like have this amazing opportunity to connect people, places, products, opportunities. And if you don't understand who you're talking to start with, you're never going to sell anything. So first identify like your clear audience. Start, if you're on Instagram, instead of looking at it as followers, look at it as an audience. How are you showing up every single day and adding so much value? Who is your niche, and who is like not just the demographic, but like the exact person, the problem that you solve. If you can't identify the problem you solve with one word, then you need to really go take a step back and be like, okay, what is it that I can do for this person? And then how are you adding value? How are you weaving it into the content? How are you engaging people, educating people, and activating people to give them the space to reach out to you? How are you building the relationships and using it as like a follow-up system? I mean, any sales, it's like you're going to make the sale between the 5th or like pretty much the 8th and the 12th time now. When you look at it that way, it's like, okay, turn follow-ups into touch points. Like, how many touch points are you going to have with someone that you can keep dripping and adding value and training them to say yes to you? So by the time you're ready to sell them the product or the service, they're already trained to say yes to you. They're already asking you for what you're selling. So you're never really closing the sale.
So the first kind of step is identifying the problem, and then the second step is to like identify your audience. Is that correct? Are those kind of the first two?
Yeah, I would say like you have to get so clear on who it is that you're selling to.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about building relationships. Okay, now so I want you to talk about, first of all, I want you to talk about network marketing. Like, what is it? Because there's a lot that goes into network marketing in regards to kind of people's perspective and view on it. And then, so talk about network marketing, like how you got into it, why you're so passionate about it now, why you're so involved with it now. And then let's just, obviously, I think it's naturally going to come up, organically come up, but why it's so important, like you said, in sales, why it's so important to build those relationships. So what is network marketing? Why are you involved in it? Why do you love it so much? You can maybe even, dispel some of the myths about it that people have. But then also within all that, let's just talk about building relationships, because I believe the new economy is relationships, right?
100%.
So I'm just going to kind of, give that to you, and you run with it however you want.
From the relationship side, even going back to like the salon brand that I was building at the time, I was there for 8 years total. And aside from, like, when you say building a brand, it's relationships. It is 100% networking, connecting with people, building relationships, getting your brand in, like, brand awareness is everything. Building those relationships and building that network. So at the salon, I just hit a point where I realized, for starters, like, true beauty is like an inside job. Like, you can transform people on the outside all day, but it's like massive transformation starts on the inside. And if you ask any client sitting in the chair in a salon, they are seeking and craving way more solutions than getting their hair done. And it started to become kind of, it just wasn't giving me the fulfillment I desired anymore. And I realized I was hitting a cap on my income. They offered me ownership of the company, and I actually turned it down because I was like, I feel like I'm hitting this glass ceiling. I feel like I'm never going to get to the level that I want to get to. I feel like I'm never going to actually make more impact. And I started to notice I was writing very valuable content to an audience online, but I was showing up as a different person in the salon. And there was a big disconnect where I felt like I couldn't be my true self. And I started to realize how many masks I had on, and I just was like, this is not the leader that I want to be. This isn't the person I want to be. And I definitely wasn't taking care of my health. And I started to just feel like I was running myself into the ground. I was never going to have like the things in my life that I wanted, and something needed to change. At the exact same time, network marketing came into my life. And it was a wellness company that literally transformed me from the inside out and made me exude me. Like, it made me come alive. And I realized, like, there's so much power when you can be a part of that and transform people from the inside out. Then I realized I naturally started sharing it with people, because that's what you do when you believe in a product that you love. That's what we do online all the time. And when I started getting the residual income coming in, I was like, okay, there has to be something to this. This was a couple years ago when, like, the whole world of online marketing was really growing too. And I'm like, okay, now we can talk to 60 different people in 60 seconds in like just in any minute, you know? And it was just, it made me realize like there was so much more impact I could be creating. And I was like, I don't want to impact 100 stylists, I want to impact thousands of people. And I want to build an online brand. And I dove into like the power of what network marketing can create. And I realized like people, for starters, like understanding the power of leverage is massive. So if you're like, what exactly is network marketing? Like the power of leverage. And here, to give you an example, your fitness. So,
Yep.
Or I love the Uber example. Remember when Uber first came out and we got those $10 coupons to refer someone to Uber, and they got their $10 off their free ride. Imagine if Uber was a network marketing company and every single time that person took an Uber and they paid for their Uber and you would refer them the very first time. Imagine getting paid 16% of all of their rides that they've done from forever. That's the power of creating leverage. That's the power of network marketing. When you refer someone to a product, they're naturally going to refer it to other people because it works. And that keeps growing and keeps going and keeps going. Imagine getting paid on all of that, multiple levels deep, unlimited levels deep.
Right.
That's the power of network marketing. So what I teach now is like really teaching people wellness is the core foundation of what makes us who we are. It's what makes us show up in our best leader, like makes us be the best leader. It's what in the fitness industry, beauty industry, any industry, wellness is like if we're not feeling our best, we're never going to give our best. So I teach people, how do you weave wellness into your own personal lifestyle? How do you weave it into your brand? And in turn, pay it forward to other people to create multiple streams of income.
Okay, so let's talk about.
That was a lot.
No. That's I want more. I want more from you. So there's network marketing, MLM, all that stuff, right? Like there's just a lot. Like I've been approached,
So much.
quite a few times throughout my life, in regards to I started back in college. Like somebody came up to me in a mall, like I didn't even know. Like I'm in college, like all I want to do is party and hang out with chicks and stuff like that, right? And I was like at a mall in Des Moines, Iowa, and some lady comes up to me, and then like some guy was gonna come to my campus and meet me. I'm pretty sure like that was kind of like that was my first exposure. At the time I didn't even know, but now looking back I was like, that's what that was. They were trying to recruit me, right? But then like, I've had, people that I went to college with, and then like I haven't talked to them for like 8 years, and then they like try to get a hold of me, and they're like, hey, I'm like so I'll be 100% honest and truthful. Like me personally, like I have a lot of negative connotations in regards to MLM, network marketing. I was, dating a girl for a while that was into that, and like we had a conversation about all that and stuff. And there's a lot of MLM, there's a lot of network marketing out here in the Denver area. So like dispel or maybe not necessarily dispel, but just like maybe talk us through a little bit, because I'm sure you probably heard some negative stuff even before you were involved in it. Oh, yeah. So let's take this angle, Laren.
I love
so you heard the negative stuff, right, about network marketing before you stepped into it. So why did you step into it? How did you work through some of those negative connotations that maybe you had toward it before you got involved?
I didn't know too much about network marketing. I just remember like Mary Kay and Arbonne and some of these companies, and I had the same stigma. I was that's not me, and I definitely don't want to be known as a network marketer.
Right.
But then when I and I get from the beauty industry, I get approached by so many of the top beauty brands, makeup companies, skincare, all that.
Yeah.
To me, the company I chose to align myself with was because it changed my life. And I would never have given it another thought if it hadn't been for this specific company. And now the reason I chose to be like, I want to build a business with this is because it actually changes people's lives. It literally transforms people from the inside out. It's not a luxury product is why I chose the company I'm with. Now that I know so much about it, I am so proud to be a network marketing professional. And that's even weird to say. But it's because I honestly believe everybody needs like multiple streams of income for one. Everybody does. And they need a passive income or residual income. They need their current business that's going to like keep paying them, and they need something that is going to be like 100% in their control and not anybody else's. And I think especially even in Denver, everything is so expensive. Like you need extra income. You need to create something that is residual, meaning look at you guys. I helped build a $6 million company. When I quit that job, did it keep paying me? No.
No.
I had to completely start over.
Yeah.
Think of all the people out there that are in jobs that they're miserable in, and they're like, I want to follow my dreams. I want to invest in opportunities. I want to invest in real estate. I want to take my kid on a dream vacation, but I can't for this reason. It gives you freedom. It gives you freedom to have more choices in your life while consuming a product that is literally changing your life from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree necessarily with other network marketing companies, but I do love the industry. But I'm 100% firm in our company and our product, and I believe in it. I don't train our team, like my leaders, I do not train them to sit there and scroll through messages and like all their Facebook list and be like, hey, message this person you haven't talked to in 8 years.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. Like,
Okay.
I don't like
That's
network
good.
marketing in that sense. I
Right.
don't like getting hit up by that.
Yeah.
I teach them, I'm like, show up and be proud of your transformation of what you can do, and use attraction marketing. When people are ready to come to you, they will. And then find other ways to be creative and add value to people's lives that gives them the open door that they're like, if they want to work with you, they will know when they're ready to make the decision. They know who to go to.
Okay, cool.
Because I agree.
Yeah, no, I'm just like I've just been turned off by it all, and like
It's hard for people like us that are doing it right.
Yeah, no, and I understand that, and that's what the way it is in any profession, right? There's the good, there's the bad, there's the ugly, there's everything in between. I guess for me, like there's so much. I've just had so many negative experiences. Like I've completely told myself like I will never. ever get involved with MLM network marketing.
I think though, can I say something about that?
Please, yes,
so
absolutely.
When you look at like influencer marketing or social selling, like I think of network marketing is because it's based on levels, like you can grow unlimited deep. Influencer marketing and social selling or affiliate marketing, you're getting paid one time. So I think what people need to realize is you can be like, yes, I'm an influencer. I have all these brands reaching out to me and it feels great. And you're like promoting it online and you're like, use my discount code. But you're just getting paid on that one person using that discount code.
Yeah.
But imagine if then every time they used it and they referred someone and they referred someone and they referred someone, you were still getting paid on that. So it's like everybody's doing the exact same thing. It's just there's a whole group that is not getting paid what they're worth.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why this is why I love having these in-person podcast conversations, because it's like, I mean, I've had so many different conversations, and that's the beautiful thing about having a mature adult conversation with another human being is like, hey, we don't have to agree with everything. We don't have to see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, like, let me. And this is one of the things, Laren, that's really, really changed for me in the sense of podcasting is like, I get to listen to people. I get to ask questions and I get to listen. And I'm just like, hey, you know what? And in the past, like a lot of it because of my faith, like. There's some people that I've had on my podcast, never in the past would I have ever given them the light of the day to talk to me. Just because like, I don't believe in that. It's like, no, but this podcast has forced me to listen to people, and it just gives me a better understanding of just humanity. It gives you more love and compassion. It's so important that people understand that we can disagree or not see eye to eye on whatever and anything and everything, but we can still, at the end of the day,
100%.
learn from each other, grow from each other, and work together to positively impact the world, right? So it's cool, and I really appreciate you just, sharing kind of your perspective and like your story in the sense of like, this is why I'm involved in network marketing, and I love it.
My goal with it is like, I don't think the company you align yourself with has to be your end all be all. I think it's an opportunity to invest in future dreams. And for me, it's like, I know I'm going to be I am wildly successful with it, that then I want to be able to invest in entrepreneurs. So for me, I look at it as like, what's going to fund helping other people's dreams. I want to create masterminds. I want to invest in startup companies. Like, I want to be able to help like give back to my parents who have done so much. So it's like, it's an opportunity that I never would have had before, and it's going to be able to fund other people's dreams that are startup companies, and that excites me.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so you mentioned in your morning routine, morning ritual, you mentioned energy, right? Like you visualize and meditate and think about like the energy that you want to bring to the earth. So explain that, talk about that, because I firmly believe like just, all of us have energy. The world is energy, right? You stepping outside of kind of like the faith stuff and what you would read in the Bible, but like energy is a very real thing, and people have powerful positive energy, and then people have powerful negative energy. And so kind of explain the importance of energy, and explain maybe a little bit more in detail the importance of people understanding the power that they have through the energy that they're bringing, in the day-to-day to the world.
I think there's so much power in visualization and what you like truly want to create. So there's also a fine line of like God and trusting God and law of attraction.
Right.
I'm a huge believer of law of attraction and what
too.
you're manifesting, but then I also am a surrender and release to God, like He has full control.
Right.
So when I like visualize, like I do a meditation that like literally like takes me into a whole different realm, and I literally can feel like this insane white light just flowing into me. Like I listen to Abraham Hicks a lot too, like the vortex. Like when you get into the vortex and you're operating at such a high vibration and high frequency that you literally feel like light is pouring into, and you're able to like exude that light out. Like I visualize like actually feeling energy, that when people are near me or like I hug people, like they feel positive energy. And then it's like from the manifesting side, I literally have people say like, I can feel your energy.
Yeah.
Like when you attract what you want and you get so clear and you're coming from that high vibration, I mean, you can manifest anything in your life.
Right. So like, energy, like it's all around us, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the world is energy. I had a young lady kind of back in the beginning of my podcast. She comes on and like, she's like deep into that stuff, and like she was like giving me like a doctorate level like course, and I was like, and it was like going over my head. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds great, but like just from kind of like you just talk a little bit about energy in the sense of like, we all have energy. The world is made of energy. Like kind of just like what your understanding is. Like, why would somebody listening to this? Why should they, maybe, dig a little bit deeper in regards to energy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you pay attention to what you're attracting in your life. When you walk into a room, how do you feel? You can tell if people are drawn to you or if they're not.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, first pay attention to your own energy. I'm deeply intuitive, so I absorb people's energy really easily. But you should know, like you should feel it right now. Do you feel like you are operating at this high level? Do you feel like you're attracting the things to you, or do you feel like you're very guarded, you have a lot of walls up, and you need to start to like break some of those walls down? For me, I had to like shed a lot of layers. I had to break down those walls and really be like, okay, how do I want to make other people feel? How do I want to make other people feel in my presence? What are the things that I want them to say about me? What are the things I want them to feel around me? Start to focus on that and how you're actually showing up in this world. You can have an up spiral in your life. You can have a down spiral in your life. The down spiral is going to be if you're coming from a place of fear and anxiety and self-doubt and comparison, you're going to feel a lot of things are not going well in your life. But if you're coming from a place of faith and joy and happiness and seeing love all around you and being happy for other people and focusing on this positive energy and light, then you're going to start to attract a lot of incredible things into your life.
Okay, I want you to talk about, for you personally, you just talked about you had to break down a lot of walls. You've mentioned limiting beliefs, stories, and earlier in our conversation, you were talking about some of your younger years, and that's where maybe some of these limiting beliefs and stories that you started to tell yourself or that were being told to you began. So what have been some of those walls that you've had to break down, Laren, personally, because like this is the power of storytelling. When we say, hey, like, this is Quentin, this is Laren, like here we are authentically, just real, like we're here we are, like that's where people are like, you know what, like I'm going through that right now, or I can relate to what Laren is talking about right now. That like that's the power of the story when we really open ourselves up and are very vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
So
People need to hear that.
Absolutely, I need to hear it. So what have been some of those walls that you've had to break down in your own personal life? And then just more practically, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, man, like, that's something I'm struggling with right now that Laren's talking about, like practically, how did you break down those walls and break through some of those limiting beliefs and stories that you've been telling yourself or told yourself from a very young age?
I think exactly what you said, like being real and vulnerable. Like you can see people on podcasts and on stages and on Instagram and all these platforms, and it comes across as intimidating, but you need to understand that we're all like real at the end of the day.
Right.
We're all dealing with our own internal
Absolutely.
battles. For me, it's like I've always felt like I wasn't good enough, or people didn't like me, or I have social anxiety. So like when I walk into a room, I get really nervous. I had to just face that and be like, okay, this is you, and like try harder. So like for me, I push myself out of my comfort zone. I go to events by myself because I know like being comfortable is like bringing people with you so that you have that safety net. So it's like face your demons head on, for starters. Like if you feel like people don't like you or you don't feel like you're enough, then make sure you're the one that's approaching people and like putting down your guard. I've heard my whole life that I'm very intimidating. So I have to try that much harder to really show people like I speak from my heart. I'm like soft. I'm like not what I look like on the inside. So it's like you just have to try that much harder. So for me, like it's doing the energy work. It's doing the meditations. It's having deep faith. It's pushing myself out of my comfort zone and like doing things and activities that I wouldn't normally do because it makes me uncomfortable. Write down a list of all the things that like make you nervous or scared, and it's like make sure those are the first things that you do.
So this whole thing, and this is a reoccurring theme, especially with my female guests on my podcast. Like I could go through and be like this one, right? Is the not good enough thing. This whole like, worthiness. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Like all of this. So for you, Laren, like where do you think that comes from? Do you think it's a culture thing? Is it something that, you develop again, maybe just your home environment? Like where do you think this, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, where does that come from for you personally? Do you think?
I think it's just, for me, it's more like comparison. Like you want to be, I always want to be better. I always want to grow. And it's like with social media and just everything, like it's so easy now to like compare ourselves to other people and go down that down spiral.
What are you comparing? Like, are you talking about like
to
physical?
Me, it's like no, it's like
money?
Success. Yeah, it's
okay.
like success. It's always success. Like I feel like they're farther ahead of me, or I feel like they're doing better, or I feel like they're showing up more. Like it's never been about like physical, and it's not about money. It's truly just like success.
Okay. So what do you do?
That's a great question. I've never had actually thought about that one.
Thank you.
Which one? Which category?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So in the I like to be practical, right? Because that's what people want from us, right? Is like, okay, like I get what you're saying, but like practically. So let's say you're scrolling through Instagram, right? And you see somebody and there's this thought of unworthiness or not good enough or what have you, however that manifests in your mind. Like, you're scrolling through Instagram, these thoughts are popping up. In that moment, okay, if you catch it, which I'm sure you do because you're in tune, in that moment, like what do you do to alter that mindset or those thoughts of like unworthiness, not good enough, I'm not successful enough? Like what do you do in that moment to alter that or to take control of those thoughts?
Great question.
Thank you.
I have 3 answers because it's like, how do you manage your inner critic? First thing is pay attention to your thoughts. So write down spend an entire day writing down all of your thoughts. Literally be like, okay, I'm gonna have a notebook by me, and every single hour or even however long you want to do it, write down your thoughts and then go back and notice the patterns. Like be like, okay, how many of them were negative? They say 80% of our thoughts are negative. So it's like go back and be like, okay, what patterns am I noticing? What are my triggers? What is causing me to go like start to think of these things? How many are positive? Is there a certain time of day? Is there a certain thing you're doing when these happen? Is it because you're scrolling social media? So get really clear on like your own self-talk, your own limiting beliefs, your own inner critic. The second thing is stop scrolling social media. Like I'm a firm believer of create before you consume. So like before you even go on and start scrolling social media and consuming other people's content, stay in your zone of genius and be like, okay, what are the stories that I want to share? What am I going through? How do I want to add value to my audience? What do I like? Start creating content, videos, writing posts, everything before you go on and consume. Because if you start consuming first, you're going to like go in a whole different direction. The third thing is only pick 3 people that you want to follow that inspire you. So I stopped looking at all these people on social media, and there's only 3 people that I allow myself to be like, these are the 3 people I'm learning from, and that's it. And so I stay in that.
Love it. Okay, who are those 3 people? Because I want to know. Oh, you don't want to say?
Well,
okay.
that's
okay.
One's in my company, one's in
okay.
a different network marketing company, and then one is the Chris Harder that has the podcast.
Oh, okay. No GC?
I listen to his podcast, but I don't look at him on Instagram.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a huge value add right there, because like that again, that's kind of like that practical stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go back to wellness. So you mentioned in the past, like, you know, for somebody to like be as successful as they want to be or can be, fulfill their greatest potential, be the best version of themselves. Like you mentioned, like wellness is it's essential. It's important. I'd agree with you 100%. So for you, like what is wellness? Because that can be a very generic word, right? What does wellness practically look like in your life? And then like when you're coaching people, let's say you're coaching other business owners or entrepreneurs, like how do you kind of share wellness with them, and how do you kind of sell wellness to them in the sense of like they need to have this as a part of their life? So what does wellness look like, the personal wellness for you, Laren, and then how do you kind of sell that, or how do you give that importance of wellness to other people?
So for starters, I don't believe in work-life balance.
Okay, cool.
We talked about that earlier.
Yep.
I don't think there is such a thing as work-life balance. If
Me
you
neither.
love what you do, you're always going to be working, always.
Yep.
So it's more of like, how are you working? Kind of like the quote I said, how are you working today to create more time tomorrow? So how are you working today? What are you willing to invest now? What are you willing to sacrifice now? What are you willing to do now to create more freedom later? When you are in the grind of work, you are putting yourself last. And that was me. I was working so much. I was living on 2 4-shot lattes every single day. I wasn't eating, and I'd go to an event every single night and drink wine. I was so unhealthy. I wasn't making time to work out, and it started to show up in my work. It started to show up in my leadership. It was like I was reactive to stress. I was moody. So if you guys are listening and it's like you're snapping at your kids, or you're just cranky, or you're exhausted all the time, it's like you've got to be like, what are the unhealthy habits that you have, and how can you create better habits? So the first thing I focus on with clients is that, like, what are your healthy habits and what areas do you need to work on? We, like my company, we're a wellness company, so we focus on cleansing at a cellular level. I always give people an example, like your entire body of cells is like a dirty fish tank.
Yeah.
It's filled with crap. And it's like if you try to add clean water to that, it's not going to do anything. But so you have to go through and clean it out first and then add the clean water. The same thing goes for our bodies. You can try keto, you can try clean eating, you can try all these diets out there, but if you're not getting to the root of the problem, you are never going to truly transform from the inside out. So we focus on cleansing your body at a cellular level and teaching you the foundation of creating a sustainable, long-term, healthy lifestyle. We teach you healthy habits, we teach you your mindset coaching, the energy work, everything. To me, that is like full wellness.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So you mentioned earlier when I asked you about, do you have some sort of movement or exercise in your morning routine? You said you've pushed that, or you placed that later in the day. What type of movement, what type of exercise, what type of working out have you found to be most beneficial for you, or the type that you enjoy the most? Like, what do you kind of do for working out each day, or however you incorporate that into your life?
I'm obsessed with HIIT training.
Okay.
Like Pearl Street Fitness is my jam.
Cool.
In Denver, if you haven't been, you have to go. It's all about like the mindset. So you're doing like hardcore like squats with kettlebells, but you'll never do the same workout twice. They're constantly like changing it up so that like you're doing one thing with your arms, one thing with your legs, to like incorporate your mind with it. I love that. I love bar. I think bar is amazing for women, especially, just to like tone down like our butt. Right now, as of Monday, I'm committing to 75 hard. Have you heard of 75 hard?
Yes, I have.
Have you done it?
I have not.
So we're like launching a whole challenge that starts Monday through April 15th. So I'm going to do 75 hard.
Cool. That is from Mr. Andy Frisella.
Yep.
Which he's an interesting character, but he's definitely one of those guys that's raw, real, authentic. But you've got to brace yourself for some vulgar intensity with him, because like I can take a little bit of Andy Frisella, but I can't.
We're just doing like
his program.
It's all about mental toughness.
Right, for sure. Yeah, no, it's cool.
People are not consistent. Like we do a lot of 21-day challenges to teach foundational habits.
Yeah.
People just aren't consistent. So it's like you have to like we start with 21, then we're going to go to 75 and so on.
Okay, so talk about consistency. Like you just mentioned, people aren't consistent. Like one of my sayings is consistency is key. Yep. Like anything productive, successful in life, whatever success looks like to you, that could be ministry, that could be, network marketing, that can be delivering pizzas, whatever it is. Like consistency is key. Like consistency equals success, whatever success is for you. So talk about consistency.
So people, when you have to go through the phases of like inception to deception to transformation, breakthrough, and identity. So inception is like you get so excited. So say you start 75 hard and you're like, I can do this. Here are my goals. Or say you started the new year of 2020 and you're like, this is what I want to create. And you're pumped. And every day is going so great for a couple weeks. And then guess what happens? You go right into deception. And that's where like old habits creep in. Old stories come in. Life happens. And you're like, oh, I don't have to do it today. And like one day turns into 1 week and 1 week turns into a month. And it's like deception is where people fail. And it's like if you can break through deception as like go through the hard part and face your stories, face your habits, like get through that part. That's when you break through, and that's when you create real transformation and form an entirely new identity. But it's the deception phase that's like where you have to pay attention to, and that's where people are not consistent. So what can you do to, if it's like literally counting days and being like, I'm on day 3, I'm on day 4, I'm on day 5, or finding ways to like break the habits, or like the 5-second rule is a good example. If you want to get up early, you have 5 seconds to make the decision. You just need to do it. So really just tapping in and creating that mental toughness to break through that part.
Yeah. And the deception part, like what is that specifically? Like when you say that term, what does that mean?
Exactly. Deception's when I don't know the exact like, to me, it's like when life happens, old patterns creep in. You start to not believe in yourself. Inception, you believe in yourself at a high level. You're like, I can do this. Your excitement is high.
Yeah.
Deception's like, it's like swinging from the pendulum back
the
and forth.
downturn. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when you're like, oh, I can't do this. This is harder than I thought it would be. Life happens. Like you start to just kind of go backwards.
And that moment, that when you recognize that deception moment, like that's where you have to like press in harder so that you can break through, right? Because breakthrough, like 2019 for me, Laren, like one of the words for me was breakthrough. Like there were so many, because I was learning specifically through the podcast. Like I had guests talking about like limiting beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves. I never heard that stuff. I'm like, what? Like, huh? Like I probably heard it in passing through maybe some podcast stuff, but like it just came alive, and I'm like, and like I am statements and like talking about the energy, all these things. I'm like I was seriously like the 2 words were awakened and breakthrough. Because first of all, you need to be awakened to the stories you're telling yourself, to limiting beliefs, to like just all the stuff that's inside of you that's nonsense, the negativity, all that. Once you have that awakening and you step into that awakening, the next step, from my understanding and like what I've experienced, is breakthrough. And breakthrough happens is like you recognize it, you have this awakening to it, and then you're like, you know what? I don't want this anymore in my life. Like, and I'm the only one that's going to change this. Habit, limiting belief story, and you step into that, like whatever's causing that uncomfortable. You mentioned earlier, like, okay, like I struggle with anxiety personally, and I struggle with like, I get anxious when I'm going to talk to a cute girl, or over here, or over there. And it's like, no, okay, oh, I'm awakened to it. It's been recognized, and now it's my choice to step into it, to go against that resistance of that anxiety, that depression, whatever it is. And once you step into it, once you lean into it, once you say, no, I'm stepping into the uncomfortable, out of the comfortable, that's where breakthrough happens. 100%. And I feel like that's kind of in alignment with what you're saying.
If you wanted to say a cute girl, you're like, I want to talk to her. The excitement of like, ooh, she's cute. I want to talk to her. Inception. Deception is,
that's the downturn. It's like,
you have to break through that. When you do, you're like, oh, I feel so good. Like you step into that new version of yourself that you wouldn't have done before. The other book, while we're on consistency, if you guys haven't read The Compound Effect, it's such a powerful book. But the compound effect in general, like if you want to transform in 1 year, that it comes down to your daily consistent habits. If you choose to go to happy hour instead of working out, that adds up. If you choose to like not go to happy hour and you decide to move 10 minutes a day and eat cleaner, over time that's going to add up.
Cool. Okay, when I was looking through your Instagram, I saw some terminology. Is legacy lifestyle? What is legacy lifestyle?
The Legacy Lifestyle is my company in network marketing.
Oh,
so
okay.
Legacy is the highest rank in our company, but in our company, you can literally will down your business to your kids if you wanted to. It's also, to me, I believe, like sharing the stage with your kid. It's like Jennifer Lopez sharing the stage with her daughter over Super Bowl. Like, you're building a legacy for one that you can pass down to generations to come, but it's also, what do you want to be known for? Like, when you leave somebody, what do you want them to say about you? How do you want them to make you feel? How are you creating impact in this world, and how are you going after your purpose and your calling? You're building a legacy. So when you look at network marketing, one, it's a lifestyle that we're helping people transform their lifestyle. We're helping them create more freedom and helping them build a lasting legacy that they can pass down for generations to come. Cool.
Okay, so within business, within entrepreneurship, your personal experiences, Laren, what's kind of like one or two things that you've learned, like yourself personally, through business, through entrepreneurship?
Take one step back to take 10 steps forward.
Okay.
In all of the things that I've done, like my first salon, our goal is to hit 2 million. We hit 2 million. And then I got recruited to go build the next company. And I took a $30,000 pay cut because I knew I would take 10 steps forward. And I was like, I just worked so hard and now I'm starting over again. But then that one got me to 6 figures and we built the huge, massive, multi-million-dollar company. And then guess what? They offered me ownership. I'm right where I wanted to be and had worked so hard for. And I'm like, now I want to start, instead of 6 figures a year, I want to do 6 figures a month and I want to impact thousands of people. So I quit and I started over to take 10 massive steps forward now. So I'm like, to me, it's like, if you really want success, if you really want fulfillment, if you really want impact, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? And what are you willing to invest now for a better tomorrow, for more future? So to me, like, that is like huge, taking bold risks and leaning into your faith 100%.
Awesome. Okay, so I want you to kind of break this down a little bit. This was a post of yours on Instagram. It's embracing uncertainty, and the quote was, "Some of the most beautiful chapters in our lives won't have a title until much later." So why don't you just share a little bit about like kind of what that means to you? What does it mean to embrace uncertainty? What does that kind of look like in the practical sense?
So when I left my job a couple years ago to go full force in this direction of entrepreneurship and network marketing, I literally, you guys, I walked away from everything that I worked for. I lost my network, my community, my friends, everything to take a massive leap in my life. And so when I think of like embrace uncertainty, like I was like, God has put a calling in my heart that I can't explain and I can't even describe it. I can feel it and I can see it on the inside, but the only thing I can say is like trust and have faith in where you're going. And I always say, I'm like, I don't know where God's taking me, but I know it's going to be amazing. I was so uncertain, but I had so much full faith. So the whole, like the last 3 years is how I look at that, as like embracing uncertainty. But it was so hard. The first like year, 2 years was hard.
Right.
There were so many times that I was like on my floor, on the step in our bathroom, like in tears, being like, God, I'm leaning into you. I don't know where you're taking me, but I'm leaning in. I trust this process. So when I was talking about that with like some chapters, you'll never know the title. When you're in it, it's hard and you don't understand it. But when you get out of it and you're looking back, you're like, that is what shaped me. That is what was the most powerful moments in my life. And sometimes they're not the success moments. And that's what I realized during this chapter. I don't even know what I would title it now, but this chapter is like, for so long I was chasing success, and now I've truly learned to fall in love with the process. At the end of the day, we're just here for experiences.
Yeah.
Why are we putting so much pressure to get there when there is no there? When I finally got there, I was like, now what? And so it's like, now I've realized like it's not about getting there, it's about everything along the way.
Wow, it's about the journey, right? Okay, cool. Let's. I want to touch on like mentorship, right? Because you're a business coach. I'm sure you're a mentor to other people, and I think that's kind of like the model from my understanding of network marketing. So, but just in general, not even speaking about network marketing, but just in general, how important is it for people to have mentors for people to have like coaches, just to have some people that they can maybe strive to be like, or ask questions about maybe where they want to go with their business or their life? Like, what's the importance of the value in coaching, mentorship, things like that?
Everything. Like
Right.
they always say, get in the room. Whether it's a mastermind, whether it's an event, whether it's one-on-one with a mentorship, get in the room and like surround yourself with people that are going to up-level you and challenge you and give you the tools to be successful. Mentors are people that have gone first. They're your tour guide. So it's like, if you are in a new chapter of your life, you want to start your own business, you're ready just to grow, you have to find a mentor. Like, you are not meant to do it alone. Surround yourself with people that are going to push you to that next level for sure.
Cool. Now, how do you deal with like negativity, criticism? If somebody's like, saying you're a mean person or whatever all that is, like, how do you internalize that? What do you do with that when negativity, when somebody says something about you, maybe it's untruthful, something like that? How do you personally deal with that type of stuff, Laren?
I know who I am, and I know that I like move from my heart, and I know what type of leader I am and how much I care, and that's all that matters. And it's between me and God at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't care. One quote I heard recently was from John Maxwell that was like, the definition of success should be when the closest people to you respect you the most. And it's like, who cares about everybody else's opinions that don't truly know you? The people that care about you the most and respect you the most are the ones that are closest to you, and that's all that should matter. If you know you're showing up and giving your best 100% every day, and it's coming from a good place, that's all that matters. Cool.
All right, so I want to touch on social media a little bit, because it's such a huge part of our lives nowadays, and I firmly believe if anybody is trying to build like a business, a brand, something like that, like if you don't leverage social media to be a tool in all of that, like you're foolish, right? That's my personal perspective, especially like if you're in beauty, if you're in fitness, like use social media to leverage to use it as a positive tool for whatever you're trying to accomplish. So for you personally, what is the importance, what is the value in social media in regards to leveraging, building a brand, building a business, like for you personally, but then also how do you kind of like coach people to use social media as a positive for them?
So I actually teach a whole course called Brand You, and it's it's like how to stop using it as a personal platform and start monetizing it as a business. Like we talked about earlier, like it is 2020, you guys. You have every reason to be building and monetizing your brand online. But it goes back to the basics again. It's like, who are you talking to? What's the value? What's your niche? Like, how are you creating content that converts and engaging people? Go back to all of the basics of like branding yourself. What's the impact that you want to have in this world? What's the value you're going to have? Who are the top people in your industry, and how can you, like, at first, if you're just getting comfortable, like mimic what they're doing well, because success leaves clues, but then put your own authentic twist on it. Ask 5 people that are closest to you. I did this exercise this week actually. What makes you unique? Ask the 5 people that are closest to you, what makes you unique? And they will tell you, and then it's like, you need to operate from that. So your first step should be brand identity. Is like, who are you? If you look at all the colors in a crayon box, like what shade are you? What's going to make you different? And then what are your core brand stories? What are your 3 macro stories that completely make up who you are? What are your micro stories? And then move from there is like actually writing content that activates and converts, and going from there.
So you have so somebody can go to like your Instagram and go to like your link tree or something like that and find that course?
Yep, you can go into my link tree and click on my YouTube channel, and it's called Brand You, and it's a 3-part series on my YouTube. Okay,
and then what's your IG?
Laren Kelly, LerinKelley.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Okay, so we've been going for an hour and 13 minutes, so we're gonna start heading towards the finish line here, Laren. A couple more things I want to touch on though. You've mentioned the word impact a lot during our conversation. What is the impact that you are striving to leave or striving to create in the world?
I just want to help like people see their zone of genius, like their absolute greats, what makes them them, and help bring that to the world. So like I know my great is like tapping in and being like, okay, this is who you are and this is what you're capable of doing, and here's the blueprint and the action steps to get there. So whether that's like in network marketing, whether it's business coaching, or whether it's in future masterminds with entrepreneurs to help launch startups, like an incubator program, I know my zone of genius, then I know how to help other people find theirs. And to me, that creates the ripple effect in this world. When you can help people, that's the best fulfillment in the world.
Cool.
That is people's impact.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about like words like we're using right now, that I'm using right now, because like the scriptures talk about like the power, there's power in the tongue, right? There's life and death. It's in the power of the tongue. So language, words, like I love words. I love language. And as I'm stepping into my awakening and just learning so much more, like just like our tone is important. Like the words that we use. Like I was a school teacher the last 2 years. Like you grew up, your mom was a school teacher. Like my tone towards kids, the words that I choose to use with youth, with people in my life, like that's impactful right there. That's really important, right? Because words can build up, they can give life, or words can tear down and they can take away life, right? So like just talk about words in the sense of like maybe how you choose to use words, or the way you choose not to use words. Like what is the importance of words, and the words that we speak to ourselves, and then the words that we speak to other people, we speak to the world.
Have you read The 4 Agreements?
No, but it's come up a lot on the podcast, and it comes up on all like my podcast, but then podcasts I listen to, it's like one of the just like
the agreements is be impeccable with your words.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all about like words are spells. You can either cast them negatively or you can cast them powerfully, and I think that is so powerful. Is because think of how often we are just with people and you don't actually say what you're really thinking. And if you could just take a step back and be like, just for even a week, be like, start telling people the powerful things that you think about them on Instagram, online, in person, standing next to someone at a grocery store. Start complimenting certain people. Start using your communication, the power of words, to literally impact other people's lives, make somebody's day because of what you're actually thinking and feeling. Right.
Cool. Is there now in terms of like,
you want my power words I use?
Sure. I wasn't gonna go in that direction, but sure.
Well, I don't even know.
No. What are your power words?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Like, well, okay, so like what's okay? No, that's cool. Let's we'll take it in this direction. So like, let's say like you see somebody on social media and you recognize something in them. Like, how are you going to use your words to build them up or encourage them?
Think of all of you listening, think of how many times you're scrolling through social media and every freaking photo and every content that you're reading, you're thinking something, and hopefully it's positive, but you're just you're just hearting the photo, and instead be like, what is it that you're really thinking? Like if you're like, wow, that was so well written, write that. Like, that was so well written.
Like that,
hey, I want to learn more about that. Like, what inspired you to write this? Or, hey, this photo is really powerful. You look absolutely incredible. Like, anything. Say what you really feel about people and start complimenting people, engaging people. I hear all the time, how do I create more engagement? It's like, are you engaging with people online? And they're like, no. It's like, start engaging with other people the same way you're sitting across from them.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I'm gonna ask you the last question, but before I do, Laren, we've had a very thorough conversation. We talked about a lot of different things, and I'm grateful and very appreciative of that. Is there anything, before I ask you the last question, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience, any words that you would like to put out there into the world, whatever's burning inside of you? This is your time just to kind of put that out there to share it.
I think I already did, but
okay.
Take bold risks. Like, if you know deep in your heart that there is a calling put on your heart, and there are a lot of people that are just sitting there like waiting or not feeling like they're ready or waiting for someone to give themselves permission. It's like, give yourself permission and just go after it and take the risk and know that God is going to show up and everything is going to align perfectly when you do. It's like, I always say, like, God has the wheels or his hands on the wheels of your life, but your foot is on the gas pedal. And it's up to us to like press go and actually go forward and make the move first. And then he'll meet us where we are at.
All right. So the last question that I have for you, what sets your soul on fire?
Oh, I love that question. I would say mentoring, 100%. Like I could sit in a room and talk business and mentoring and give people the blueprint to where they want to go all day long, every day. Like I just love leadership. Yeah.
And that mentoring, like I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but does it light up your soul because like you're taking something and you're serving somebody else through giving. Is that because like right, service is like if we look at our faith, like we look at Jesus, he came not to be served but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. So like just through our faith, through reading the Bible, but then just like leadership is service. So is that really where your heart is lit up, your soul's lit up, is just because you're able to impact other people, you're serving other people? Is that fair to say?
100%. It's like do what you would do if you weren't getting paid. That's what I would do for free all day long, every day. I even ask like the people I coach, they will tell you I'm one of the most selfless leaders because I put all of them first. Like I care more, they're like my children. I care more about their business, their success, and helping them achieve their goals and their dreams more than my own. Right.
And this is something that came to me recently. It was like elevate others, elevate you. Yes. So as we serve others, as we build others up, as we, just pour into other people, like whatever, again, I believe in the law of attraction. So like whatever you're putting out, you're going to get back. Yeah. What you, as the Bible would say, what you sow is what you reap, right? Yeah. So that's
like, why it's like, be generous. Like, be generous with your money, like be obedient with it, be generous with your time, be generous with like knowledge, like give knowledge. Yeah. And add value to people. Not don't hold it all to yourself.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, Laren, if somebody has, which I know there's going to be people that have resonated with your story, with a part of your story, if they're feeling the positive energy, the powerful energy that you're putting out, where can people find out more about you? Where can people follow along if they want to connect with you in regards to maybe coaching, things like that? Where can you send people?
Definitely follow me on Instagram for starters. Share this podcast out and tag, obviously, both of us. And we launch our next mentorship program. It's a 90-day mentorship March 1st. Okay. So this is 90 days. It's broken down. Each week has a different theme. We have an online portal. We go through we have a team call every week. We bring in outside guest speakers and leaders. We have daily and weekly empowerment. We have homework assignments. We have everything to just transform you and help you build a solid online business with the power of network marketing if you're passionate about wellness. I do business coaching outside of that as well as social media. So if you have like a business idea, if you're in a place where you're like, this is where I want to go, reach out to me and we can like have a one-on-one and see if it's a good fit to work together.
All right, cool. Is there like, is there like a website or anything, or just your IG?
We're in the process of building a new one right now. It's going to go with the online portal, so I'll have it up here in the next probably 2 weeks.
But your Instagram is kind of like the main hub,
I'll go to my Instagram
right?
and just slide into my DMs.
All right, there we go. Cool. All right, so Laren, I just want to thank you very much for sharing your story today. I want to thank you for your authenticity and. What's that?
You're a great host.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. No, it's a work in progress, right? But I just really appreciate your time. I appreciate your authenticity. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and again share your story and just hang out with myself and the listeners. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
For sure.
excited.
Yeah, you're welcome. So 127 Fit podcast listeners, once again, I just want to thank you so much for your listening ears. I'm always so thankful that you guys hang out with myself and my guests that I'm bringing onto the podcast. If you want to find out more about the guests that I'm bringing onto the podcast, or if you want to find out more about myself personally, you can find that information on Instagram at 127fit. Facebook is at Quentin Vars. LinkedIn is at Quentin Vars. If you guys would do me a huge favor and please leave a 5-star rating and review and also subscribe to the podcast, that would be super cool. If you think you would be a great guest or if you have a friend or an acquaintance you think would be a great guest or guest for the 127 Fit podcast, you can send me an email or give this email out, 127fit@gmail.com. Also, if you are looking to get in better shape, if you're looking to lose some weight for a wedding, if you're trying to gain some muscle, if you just know that you're in an unhealthy place, an unhealthy state in your life, I would love to chat with you on the phone. If you guys are interested again in personal training, if you own a business, anything like a startup, something like that, and you just want somebody to come in and talk to your team, your business, your startup in terms of wellness, health, physical training, anything like that, please, again, send me an email. We'll set up a 30-minute free phone consultation, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about in terms of personal training, health, wellness, all that good stuff. Once again, reach out to me through email, 127fit@gmail.com. You can also send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we'll get you dialed in. Health, wellness, fitness, things like that. One other huge favor I'd ask of you guys, if you're finding great value in a specific episode or episodes of the 127 Fit podcast, in which I know you are, please take that specific episode and episodes and share it on your Facebook and Instagram stories using the hashtag #BeSomeoneToFollow. And then per the usual, I will leave you with Proverbs 24:10, which states, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. This time until next time, I will catch you guys later.